Now, from the news team that's covering the Carolinas, this is Channel 9 Eyewitness News Sunday morning.
Remains discovered in the search for a missing 3-year-old Mariah Woods. The new information we've learned from warrants about the man charged in connection to Mariah's disappearance. Plus a blowout, a big one at Bank of America Stadium as Clemson defeated Miami and are now the 2017 ACC champions. Highlights from the game, plus a look at the boom in business in Uptown. And we want to give you a live look outside. It's a gorgeous view, kind of different out there. Take a look at that sort of layer of fog we've got out there this morning. At 7 o'clock, we're starting off in the 40s, but got some visibility issues out there. Good morning. I'm Brittany Johnson.
I'm meteorologist Keith Monday. It's been a neat shot in Charlotte this morning, but there are some spots where the fog is even thicker than what we're seeing here in town. So it's going to slow you down a little bit here on this early Sunday. So the visibility number is the worst up into Morganton and Hickory and even Rock Hill, Lancaster, and Monroe now. So it's starting to settle in a little bit more. I just checked in with Charlotte Douglas and the FAA. Not reporting any big flight delays here early this morning, so that is good. So the visibility will probably take a while to thin out. We're back to 39 degrees in Charlotte now. It is near freezing up north into the foothills where that fog is thicker. That could actually lead to some minor slick travel on some of the bridges and overpasses. So take caution around Hickory and Morganton and Lenore to start the day today. Otherwise, just a bit of fog there early. We're back at the upper 40s by 9 o'clock and mid-60s and sunshine will be rolling in for this afternoon. I'll come back in a few minutes. I'll show you the future cast, how long that fog will last into your neighborhood, and the bigger changes by the end of this next week ahead.
Okay, the hint is you'll need to.
The hint is cold.
The hint is cold. We gave it away. All right, thank you, Keith. Breaking overnight, one person is dead after a Nissan crashed into the back of a CATS bus in Northeast Charlotte. Police say it happened around 11:15 last night on North Tryon Street near Sugar Creek Road. Officers say the driver of the Nissan who died may have been under the influence of alcohol or drugs. No one from the bus had any major injuries. This morning, the Onslow County Sheriff's Office and FBI believe searchers found the body of missing 3-year-old Mariah Woods. Dive teams found the likely remains of Mariah Woods in a Pender County creek around 5:30 last night. That area is about 45 minutes from Mariah's home in Jacksonville in neighboring Onslow County. That is where the toddler was reported missing on Monday morning. The medical examiner still needs to confirm the remains are the missing girls. We have reported officials were no longer calling this a disappearance case, but now a homicide investigation. Late Friday, 32-year-old Earl Kimry was arrested. He now faces charges including concealing a death, obstruction of justice, and felony larceny. Kimry dated Mariah's mother and lived in the home with the family. Channel 9 obtained a copy of his arrest warrants. They say Kimry secretly got rid of the child's body. His bond has been set at more than $1 million. For nearly a week, hundreds of volunteers, law enforcement, dive teams, they all searched for Mariah. Their efforts included canine units, horses, four-wheelers, and boats. Her mother says that she put Mariah to bed on Sunday night, and the next morning, Mariah was gone. Well, for many people, this is such a heartbreaking case. As soon as more information comes into our newsroom, we will be sure to update you right here on air and at WSOCTV.com. Your time is now 7:02. The Clemson Tigers, they are now the 2017 ACC champions after beating Miami 38-3. Man, that was a blowout at Bank of America Stadium last night. More than 74,000 people filled Bank of America Stadium, the second largest crowd in ACC title game history. Top-ranked Clemson handling business from the beginning. The Tigers scored a touchdown on their first 3 possessions. Clemson's 21-0 halftime lead, the largest in ACC championship game history.
Really proud of our team. I mean, just what an amazing performance by our guys. Just really probably our best game of the year.
Clemson wins their 3rd straight ACC championship, 38-3, and the team now heads to the college football playoff. Now, from the winners on the football field with the greatest plays to a big win for Charlotte and the millions of dollars pumped into the economy. Restaurants and shops in Uptown say they are hoping to triple, if not quadruple, their earnings this weekend. The Charlotte Hospitality and Tourism Alliance says hotels in the Queen City are at full capacity. The big game returned to Charlotte after it was held in Orlando last year, all because of the controversy over House Bill 2. NCAA officials said the law was discriminatory against the LGBT community, and that is why they moved the game to Orlando. Lawmakers have since repealed the law. Now, you can find all of our coverage over House Bill 2, along with its impact not only in Charlotte, but across the entire state at WSOCTV.com. A major road closure will be put into place this afternoon in Uptown, and it will stay in place until the end of the month. Traffic Team 9's Mark Taylor has your alternate routes.
A big utility project happening in Uptown. This is connected to the Tryon Place utility relocation. It's happening later this afternoon at 3 p.m. This is going to last through December 29th, and that's going to close several roadways, including Stonewall between Tryon and Brevard. So if you're traveling Stonewall, you could either use MLK or you could use 3rd Streets as alternate. And then you're going to see a stretch of College between MLK and Moorhead also blocked. So coming from 277, you can take Caldwell to MLK, try and back down Moorhead. Again, this starts later today at 3 o'clock.
As the Russia investigation inches closer to the White House, President Trump is breaking his silence after his former national security advisor Michael Flynn pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI. The president tweeted this: "I had to fire General Flynn because he lied to the vice president and the FBI. He has pled guilty to those lies. It is a shame because his actions during the transition were lawful. There was nothing to hide." Flynn was forced to resign in February after officials discovered he misled them about his contacts with the Russian ambassador. Sources close with the investigation say the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, directed Flynn to contact the Russian ambassador. Now, on Friday, ABC News reported Flynn was prepared to testify. President Trump directed him to make contact with the Russians. Yesterday, the network issued an apology over the serious error. Part of ABC's statement reads, "The reporting conveyed by Brian Ross during the special report had not been fully vetted through our editorial standards. Effective immediately, Brian Ross will be suspended for 4 weeks." Meanwhile, President Trump is celebrating the nearly $1.5 trillion tax reform bill the Senate passed early Saturday morning. Now the final stretch. Can both houses of Congress reach a solution and put it on the president's desk? ABC's Gloria Rivera looks at what lies ahead and the pushback the bill is getting across the country.
President Trump on a victory lap after the Senate passage of tax reform.
Not since Ronald Reagan has anything even come close.
The president making his remarks at a fundraiser in New York City, while protesters speaking out in opposition to the bill they say is a boon for the wealthiest American.
The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, as amended, is passed.
Senate negotiations went down to the wire. The GOP-led chamber passed the largest change to the U.S. tax code in 30 years, adding revision after revision in order to get key holdouts on board. Changes taxpayers can expect from this bill include the elimination of the Obamacare mandate, slashing the corporate tax rate from 35% to 20%, doubling standard deductions but abolishing all individual, state, and local income tax deductions. For Americans making more than $100,000 a year, it could mean a big tax cut. But middle-class folks earning less than $75,000 could end up paying more in taxes over the next decade. No Democrats voted in favor of the measure.
I think that's going to cost them very big in the election because basically they voted against tax cuts.
Senate and the House must now work to reconcile the two distinct tax bills. President Trump hopes he'll have a bill to sign before Christmas. Gloria Rivera, ABC News, Washington.
Happening today, Congresswoman Alma Adams is holding a town hall meeting over the tax plan and how it affects people here in Mecklenburg County. That meeting will be at Weeping Willow AME Zion Church on Milton Road. The meeting begins at 6 p.m. and we have posted this information for you online at WSOCTV.com. Time is now 7:08. Tomorrow night is a big night for Charlotte City Council. Newly elected officials, including Mayor Vi Lyles, will be sworn into office. Lyles is the first black woman elected to the position, and that swearing in is tomorrow at 7 o'clock at the Government Center. South Carolina's Attorney General says despite the official seal missing from more than 100 laws, they can still be enforced. On Friday, Attorney General Alan Wilson said overturning the laws would give the Secretary of State more power, a more powerful tool than the governor, who can veto bills. Now, Wilson's opinion doesn't actually impact any laws. Now, we told you last month the Secretary of State's office failed to put the seal on more than 100 laws over the last 10 years. This morning, police in Jacksonville, along with the Onslow County Sheriff's Office, are looking for an escaped inmate. They say Daniel England III escaped on Friday while being taken to a doctor's appointment. He was in jail for breaking and entering and awaiting trial on several felony charges. Officials believe England is not armed. Happening today, a Caldwell County 15-year-old will be laid to rest after he was killed in a crash on his way to school last week. Wesley Oliver died Tuesday morning when a log crashed through his father's windshield on Highway 18. Oliver's high school honored him on Friday night during High Brighton High's biggest football game of the season against Shelby. Today, the Carolina Panthers will play one of their biggest games of the season. They are facing off against the Saints, and the winner will claim first place in the NFC South. But heading into today's game, there's a handful of injured players listed on the final injury report, including Christian McCaffrey. He is nursing a shoulder injury. Tight end Greg Olsen is among those listed as questionable, but Coach Ron Rivera said that he would play Olsen against the Saints, even though he didn't practice, if he's capable. One player who will be taking the field, Captain Munnerlin.
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. I'm ready to roll, and kind of still upset that I didn't play last week. We got to have some pride, and we got to go out there. We know it's going to be tough. It's going to be loud in their stadium, but at the same time, we got to have some pride. We got to go out there and do what we do, and just compete and go out there and try to get this win.
All right, they're going to try to get that win when the game kicks off at 4:25 this afternoon. Let's get a live look outside. Your time is now 7:10. Check that out. That is a cool shot there. You can see the sun coming up, but it's behind that light fog we've got going on out there. This is the view from our Lake Norman cam. Let's get an update on this forecast from meteorologist Keith Monday. Keith, everyone's not necessarily dealing with the same visibility issues.
Exactly. The worst of it is in the foothills. We've seen a little more creep in around Charlotte, but you'll see in our futurecast it holds in the foothills and just north of the city here through this morning through at least 9 o'clock. As we head our way through late morning and midday, though, that starts to clear out. We are back into sunshine and get a nice warm up out there today. We're back in the mid-60s. That doesn't last all week long. Ahead, we'll be discussing the timing for this big cold blast that's still on the way and how it may actually be a couple of waves of the coldest air of the season working its way into the Carolinas. Brittany?
An iPhone blew up in this man's hands while he was texting his friend. At 7:45, the reason he says this could have been a lot worse. And hundreds turned out for a prayer walk outside of a controversial clinic in Southeast Charlotte.
So we decree that there will be no abortions in Charlotte.
At 7:30, the reason some say these activists do more harm than good. And cars line the streets for miles in McAdenville for its famous Christmas celebration. Next, the reason some visitors say they don't mind the crowds.
Like us on Facebook to follow the latest breaking news, top stories, and weather. To join in on the conversation, log on to WSOCTV.com and click on the Facebook icon at the top of the page.